40.
39.
Number 1.
39.
38.
37.
36.
35.
34.
33.
32.
31.
30. 29.
28.
27.
26.
25.
24.
23.
21.
20.
19.
18.
17. 16.
15.
14.
13.
12.
11.
10.
9. 8.
7. 6. 5.
4.
3.5.
3.
2.
1.
Hey, Rocky, you want to see me pull a show out of my hat? Nothing up my sleeve. Presto! Hi, and welcome to the Mouthwash Talk Show, a minty, fresh take on politics. And we got a great show for you tonight. We actually have Jamie Reitenour back. If you'll remember a couple of weeks ago, we had her on about debates. And that's what my little thing there at the end was, debates are overrated. Let's talk about some education. I got my glasses on, makes me look smarter tonight. So I hope I can keep up because, I had to take the second grade twice. That was the toughest 2 years of my elementary career. But we have a good show tonight, and we're going to try to break the record for viewers. I mean, we almost did it last time with Jamie on here. I think a lot of people wanted to see how she was getting sort of done wrong on these debates thing. And I actually did go to the Channel 8 debate at the Madam Walker, or off, as I call it, the Miss Breedlove place, because that's her name, Sarah Breedlove. That's her real name, not Madam Walker. So I want to call her by her real name. Anyway, I was laughing because they had one of the questions was, do you consider yourself an outsider? And it was sort of comical, some of the questions that they asked at those things. But that's what's so good about the show. We ask questions. It's not really a debate. It's more of an informational thing. And tonight we have Paige Miller coming on with, and when I say with, they are literally together. It's not like she's phoning in somewhere and she's phoning in somewhere. They're together. So I'm thinking that they're really working well together on this education stuff. We're going to talk about that and some other stuff. But as you see behind me here, wait, we got this eclipse coming. So, this may be our last show. You just never know. These eclipse things, these, events like this, it may get out of hand. I'm getting all excited about this total eclipse. We're going to have like 4 minutes here in Mars Hill where it's dark. And that's probably going to confuse my chickens. I'm just going to say they may not lay any eggs that day. It's going to be tough. So I'm going to go ahead and bring on our guests here tonight. I'm not going to play Mark Small yet. I'm going to wait and play Mark Small probably in between here. And I see Tiffany in the background. She's got her glasses on to make her look smarter too. She's waving at, hey, Tiffany, how you doing? All right, let's go ahead and bring on our guests. All right, Paige and Jamie, how are you doing this evening?
We're doing well.
Yeah.
That's great. I'm looking forward to this because I was very impressed with Jamie's education policy last time she was on, and she said you were helping with that. I said, well, what better way to hear it from the horse's mouth and have you on the show and talk about this part of things. But before we get to that, let's start with you, Jamie. Tell us how you're doing and how your campaign's going to this point.
We're doing great. When we started this campaign, we knew it would be a ground game. They told us that there's 2 ways to win. You can win with millions of dollars, or you can win with the miraculous ground game. And so we opted for the second. So we never depended on the debates. We just wanted to make sure that we took the stand that we did, because right is right and you need to stand for what's right. But we've been working for 2.5 years on our ground game, and people are about to see it hit the state of Indiana. So we're very excited about where we are.
Yep, I drove by Bobby Donahay's house tonight. He lives on Lyndhurst and Holt, and he has 2 of your signs and has had 2 of your signs in his yard for at least 8 months. I don't know if that's even legal, but he's done it, and nobody's going to tell him not to do it. So yeah, I was like, wow, that's pretty interesting to see one of your signs right here in on the west side of Indianapolis. Paige, go ahead and tell our viewers a little bit about yourself.
My name is Paige Miller, and I am a teacher with 33 years experience in the classroom. I met Jamie. Actually, she showed up at a Bible study I was at and was introducing herself. And I just happened to be recently retired and just getting used to being that. And I just said, you know what, when you become the governor, let me know and I'll come run your Indiana Department of Ed. And as soon as I said that, I kind of laughed. I was like, I have no way am I going to go do that. But I think I'd ever hear from her. And I did go home and tell my husband, I said, you're not going to believe this, but this is what I said. And he goes, well, you're not thinking about doing that, are you? I was like, oh, no, I'm not. And then Jamie called and we got together. And I absolutely loved my 33 years in the classroom. I did get my master's in administration, did a little bit of a dabble in that. And you know what? I just love kids. And I watched things change over the years. But the love of kids and students and teaching has never wavered in me. It's all I've ever wanted to be since I was a very, very young child.
Now, did you go to Ball State?
No, I didn't.
What? Blasphemy.
I went to Kansas where they actually know how to play basketball.
Oh, hey, we had Ray McCallum when I was there. We went 86. I think we were in the Sweet 16, but I think Kansas has won a couple more games, but
we've won a few more, but that's all right. But the great thing is I went through Carmel Place schools. We moved here in 1970 and I went to Woodbrook the year it opened as a kindergartner and I graduated in 83. I went out to Kansas for 4 years, came back and was hired in the fall of 87. And I spent all 33 years in elementary teaching. And
well, you get along just fine with me tonight because that's about my skill level sometimes, elementary school. I was actually at a party Saturday and I was racing the kids. And I told them, I said, you know what, when I'm 64, you kids might be able to beat me. But I'm telling you what, my legs are still sore from this weekend. Yeah. So, and then you taught at Carmel then, is right? Carmel Elementary, what one of the schools?
Forestdale for 27 years, okay. Rowe Gifted for 6.
All right. Cool. That's cool. So, hey, you know something about education, it sounds like. And as I touched on briefly there about Jamie's education policy that she was putting in, I've not heard anyone else even talk about that. But I believe that education is very important for our kids. And I think the main key is to have kids want to go to school and not have to go to school. So that's one thing that I wonder if we can do. But so, hey, I'm going to go ahead and play. Now, Mark Small is going to talk about debates tonight. He's going to talk about the rules and debates. Now, he's a little bit off topic here, Jamie. You'll have to forgive him because he wants to debate Micah Beckwith. So when you win governor, you're going to have to, you may have to deal with Micah Beckwith. So I guess it's a little bit, that's how I'm trying to tie it in anyway. I'm going to try to tie it in that way. So here you go. Here is Mark Small talk. And I want to say this real quick. Mark Small is a professional about this. I mean, I don't have to bother him to get his stuff in here. He called me, what is it? What's the topic? I give him 2 minutes and he just sends it to me. It's just so easy to work with him on things. So this is 1 minute and 59 seconds of Mark Small. So here you go. And we'll have the panel on the other side.
Hi, I'm Mark Small. This is Small Talk. With the political campaigns heated up, we'll hear about debates taking place. I debated in high school, in college. I coached college debate. And I can tell you 2 essential elements, essential to debate, that are not present in the debates that we have. Now, one, I can give you an example nationally, the other locally. So the first one is time limits. You cannot speak outside of your time limit, and another debater can't speak during your time. And that's really important because each side has a right to speak and be heard. When Trump in 2020 was just talking over people all the time, and they had to turn his mic off during one debate, they said, we're going to turn his mic off. He keeps doing it. People were saying, it is his right to speak. You can't speak over people and deny them the right to speak. So that's a rule that we wouldn't even have considered violating. It's that strict. What's the other rule? It's evidence. He who asserts must prove, or she who asserts must prove. We'd carry files of 4x6 evidence cards. We'd quote, stand up in the round, say whatever the stats were. Locally, Micah Beckwith asserts things all the time about the Constitution, Declaration of Independence, the framers of the Constitution. He does so freely and talks about talking to God a lot too. Well, if you falsify evidence in a round of debate, high school or college, you're not just disqualified from a tournament, you could be disqualified for the year. People got very serious about sources of evidence and falsification. I'd be glad to debate Beckwith. He'll never say yes to me. So think about that when you're watching debates here in the political season, because if they don't provide for time limits and they don't say what's your evidence, they ain't debates. Peace. Small talk.
So there you go. Let me get this straightened out here. You guys got to get in your right spots. I love this thing. Let's see. Now Lucy's in the middle. Yeah, Brad, you're left, middle, right. There you go. Oh, look at Tiffany in her glasses. Did you get those from Harry Carey? Well, this bud's for you, all you Cubs fans. So we'll start with Brad, the lone Democrat. Brad, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, John. How are you? You know,
I know you're
getting
looking
pumped for the
forward.
solar eclipse. You know.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I can't wait to not see the sun for 4 minutes. It'll be a break I've been waiting for since 1892 or something like that. So yeah, it's great. Lucy,
I just hope it. I think it's just gonna go and pass and come and go and be a day. It's not.
Well, we're supposed to have like 100 gazillion million people here. So
I just wanted to balance what everybody else was going to say about it, probably. So
okay,
Lucy,
you got a conspiracy about the eclipse.
No, just like the running out of gas and stuff. So
okay, that's it. That's Lucy. How are you tonight? It's good to see you. Last week you wanted to yield for Andrew Horning, and that was a very entertaining show as usual. He's a very smart gentleman.
I watched. Yeah, Andy's amazing. There was no way that I was taking any time away from him. He is so smart and so eloquent as well. Some things to say about what Mark said. I think you might find what I've got to say surprising, but I'll yield to Tiffany now.
Let's get to Smarty Glasses Tiffany and see how she's doing. Tiffany, it doesn't look like you're at home tonight. What's up with that?
I am in Georgia. We're hunting Bigfoot down in Georgia. They grow bigger down here, so hopefully we'll be a bit more successful.
Yeah, that's right. Well, you got those glasses. You can see them coming.
No, but I'm here with my daughter. She's studying for her doctorate in chiropractics, and she's a wonderful hostess, and she's got this great energy, and she wants to be a holistic practitioner. And being at her house is like being at a spa. It's very zen, and it's just a wonderful place.
And don't worry, life will beat that energy out of her. Don't worry about that.
But until then, it's a wonderful place.
I know. It's enjoy the ride. Enjoy the ride, and right when it goes off the cliff. Okay. So, hey, I'm going to start out tonight with a question from our viewers. That was like, oh, here, let's just start it out right away. Paige and Jamie, this is sort of a topic does she agree with holding back third graders if their reading isn't proficient? So there you go. I'll let either one of you or both of you answer that question.
Well, actually, I testified down at the State House in January when this bill came up, and I'm absolutely against that. And I will tell you why. First of all, just listening to the testimony and to the committees, they were talking about, well, yeah, we're going to hold every third grader back. And I really wanted to raise my hand and say, well, where are you going to put all these kids? Because the buildings are full. There's no more room. Where are we housing all these? And then they said, well, they can't have the same curriculum that they just had. No, they will, because the standards don't change. And if they're going to have a different curriculum, who's writing it? See, these decisions get made at the State House. And the biggest concern I have, and one thing that Jamie and I are going to change, because after being in the classroom for 33 years, do you realize we've never been consulted? We don't bring teachers in and say, hey, what would this look like if we were going to do this? How would it impact you? How would it impact your schools? And how's it going to impact your students? That's not the way this happens. And when Jamie's the governor and I'm running the Indiana Department of Ed, I've got many, many teacher friends behind me. And these decisions won't be made willy-nilly, nor will they be made without boots on the ground. Because these decisions get made, teachers have to make it happen and make it work. When students don't pass iRead and they fail the iRead test, basically they started failing that a while ago. That is showing what happened in kindergarten if they chose to come to kindergarten, first and second grade. And so to determine whether or not they're going to go on, we should have been looking at this a long time ago. And what we're going to do, we're going to change things. We cannot keep doing things the way we've been doing them lately. We need to get back to what's good teaching. And we need to spend time with kids. We need to spend time assessing. And it needs to be an ongoing assessment. It needs to be where we are doing what we call in the down on the ground, it's called progress monitoring. And we're monitoring every 2 weeks the kids' progress. And if we see that they're not progressing, we stop. We don't wait till 3rd grade and say, well, my goodness, look at all you kids that didn't pass. Now we're going to retain you. Because
let me get in here. You could always have reading on the rooftop, or have you ever heard of reading boot camp? Kathleen Alfie does that. It's a phonics based thing. It's been around forever,
right?
And it's fun, and kids read, and those kids are way before 3rd grade that are doing that.
Kids can also go to the public library in their town.
Yeah, we got Brad Sawinski on here. You know, he's
we've had lunch and
promote. Oh yeah,
and
And
one thing I've Brad both agree on. You know, I tell parents all the time, you need to go look at I read to you, you read to me books in kindergarten and 1st grade. And that's one of the things I think Brad does really well is working with parents and leading them in the direction of books that are going to help those kids that are age appropriate, that can get the kids reading. Because once they love to read, then they're unstoppable. And
where has that gap been though? Because for the past 20 years, we've had the Republican supermajority, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like in the legislature. So I don't know how for the past 20 years then has nothing been. If something is the problem, I don't know how it wasn't caused or.
I think it's a post-COVID problem, Brad.
Oh, okay. It's COVID. No, I'll tell you what it is. A lot of things changed through who was in charge of the Indiana Department of Education. We've never had a teacher with 30 years running the Department of Ed.
That makes a lot of sense.
Right. Well, and you look at
having experts in charge of anything seems like a foreign concept to most of,
and
government.
People say, well, what qualifies you? Are you kidding? What do you mean what qualifies me? I was in the classroom. I've done all these different committees. I've done a lot of different things. What's changed to me is school used to be a lot of fun. We've taken so much fun.
What school did you go to? Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
school was fun.
Mine was fun when I got out.
And I want my kids to love it. And, that's what I set up for in my classroom. And it's with activities. And John, this won't surprise you, but a lot of times I got the bad boys and the quiet girls. I had older brothers, so I thought the bad boys were hilarious. I had a great time with them.
Oh, you had a stitch with me.
And they were a lot of fun. They were energetic. They needed to move. They needed to do all kinds of things. But as a teacher,
too, like some kids didn't think that school was fun in those days. I mean, there's a lot of kids who did not enjoy the process of school whatsoever.
I was going to say the thing that. Now I'm going to be a little straight. I didn't mind school at all. I got better as I went along. Okay. The standardization, the one size fits all. And I think I heard that sort of reflect in your holding back 3rd graders. It's like, one size doesn't fit all. You start holding back 3rd graders. It's like a blood clot. You're going to have a heart attack at some point because you're not letting stuff naturally go. So, and it's a lot of it is knee-jerk reaction by our government. Our government always seems to want to do the pendulum swing so far the other way that, man, it would watch out when it comes back because it's going to hit you. So can you be more specific possibly on how are we going to make it more fun?
Well, one thing we're going to do is we are going to get back to what makes school fun? When you're successful. Why do you like to come to school? Because you're doing well. That's why I had trouble. And so if you're successful and things are going well, you like to come there. If it's not, and imagine being in 6th grade and you can't read. That's horrible. And you have to hide that all day long because you don't want anybody to know that you can't read. So what do? You act up, you act silly, you get kicked out of class a lot because when you're not there, you can't get found out. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the foundations. We're going to go back to, because things were lifted. It used to be the state said, okay, when you're going to textbook adoption, This has been approved at the state level. You have to choose from this. And, you know, you've all heard about Lucy Calkins, and it doesn't matter what side of the fence you sit on. I mean, the university that sponsored her, they've completely gotten rid of her. That was a supplemental curriculum only. Overnight, it got moved to a standalone. Carmel adopted it. Hamilton Southeastern did. It was by far the worst curriculum I'd ever seen. There wasn't a skill in it. And this was elementary. So we're going to go back to state adopted curriculum. This is your choice because we do know what's best. And then we're going to say, you know what? We're going back to required minutes. We used to have required minutes. You had to teach language arts for 120 minutes. Obviously not all at once. We're going back to 90 minutes of math. We are going to go back and say, this is the required minutes of instruction because these kids have to have direct instruction.
Yep. You got to tell them what to do. All right, Lucy, I know you are just ready to go. So you can fire away.
Well, I am so in favor of Paige being our head of education in the state of Indiana because he's been there for 33 years. Thank you for your service to our children, our community. There is nothing better than somebody who's actually has that lived experience, right? I mean, how many times I'm going to brag on my little West Washington high school down here because I'm in a rural area. We have less than 1,000 kids K through 12. And our administrator is actually the former coach of the football team, and he's doing an amazing job. He's not your typical administrator. He's somebody that, you know, poured into these kids and handles teenage boys really well. I know because I got a couple of them there, and it's been a good experience. So what a pleasure it would be to have somebody who's focused on the kids and the learning and has been through 33 years of seeing third graders become adults and knowing that the impact you had either led to them being successful or not being led to them being successful, right? I mean, you've lived it, and so you actually know it works. And I looked up Lucy Calkins because, of course, she has the name Lucy, and I'm absolutely floored at how bad it is. I mean, it's insane. I mean, didn't we do? I mean, my mom did the whole language experiment. She was born in 42, and she struggled her whole life with spelling. So she made sure that I could read before I ever went to kindergarten, and she made sure that I knew that I could sound out words, so that I had a strategy for getting new words.
I got to, this is the point in the show where I ask, Lucy, do you have a question?
Oh, shoot. I probably should have a question on that. Amy, if you could wave a magic wand, but you could only change one thing about elementary ed in Indiana that will set kids on a great path, what is the one thing that you would do?
First of all, they would all have licensed teachers in elementary. We have many classrooms that have unlicensed teachers. And in elementary, I want to be very clear with that. In elementary, that can't happen because there is a way to teach.
Wasn't a law recently passed about making it easier, like trying to make it easier for like experts in fields, I guess, to get teaching degrees?
And I'm all for that with 6th grade through 12, but not in elementary. And we've seen this. I've got friends that are involved with different teaching programs that are retired or teachers that have left the profession. We have teachers doing their student teaching while they have a teaching job. That's not how that works. And
there's also built this thing called building sub. That's where you just pretty much take over a class. Because I wanted to find out about this education thing. So a couple of years ago, I started substitute teaching, and Kelly Services was just, they would send me a weekly notice. We need building subs, which is basically a permanent sub. So you basically take over class and teach it. I mean, that's sort of the desperation that this is.
But I don't know that being a sub though gives a good window into what being a teacher, just because if you know that you're going to be leaving, you don't
it's a double-edged sword, Brad, because the kids know you're a sub and you know you're not going to have to stay there. And really, I think bad about leaving because I wanted to spend some more time with these kids because we would be fun. Now in second graders, we got too wild. Second graders, no. I'm good at 6th, 7th, 8th in there, but second graders, I was too much like a second grader. The teacher next door shushed us 2 to 3 times a day. So yeah, we had a little bit too much fun. But that is, I guess that's going to be a question. I know, Tiffany, when I get to you, but a question that a lot of people would have: how do we entice teachers to be teachers? I mean, it seems like it's such a shortage. 100 subs per day in 2 townships that I was that were needed in 2 townships here in Indianapolis, Wayne Township, Perry Township. 100 subs a day is needed.
Wow.
They're not ever filled. They just sort of make
No,
the
and
best.
then so what happens? Like, what happens in that school day?
They just shuffle people around, and
Seriously, and then like, so what kind of a day is that for that student? For as many arguments that I hear about, like, oh well, you know, we need to get rid of this or get rid of this during the day. It's like, well, a whole day was wasted, a whole day. And when this happens, John, like, how many times do you sub because of something like that?
Yeah, I try to do as much as I can. I mean, obviously, it's rain days when I can't lay.
No, but I mean, like, it's plentiful. Like,
oh,
know,
yeah,
like,
I could do. Like I said, there's 100
but
spots every day, and you know, sometimes I've gone and I've jumped from 3 classes and fill in and jump around. So I guess the question is, and then this one's for Jamie too. How do we make it fun for teachers? I mean, you know, you can only pay somebody so much if they don't have an atmosphere that's any good. I mean, that's sort of what I hear a lot of. After the school, I would walk down the hallway and the teachers would be out there in the hallway talking about. So how do we make it fun for teachers?
One thing we're going to do is we're giving teachers their voice back. When we were accredited through RCA, there was something called the climate audit. And there were school districts that did not get accreditation from the state because they didn't pass the climate audit. And that was where teachers could tell us exactly what we could tell them exactly what was going on in the buildings, and the teachers mattered. And so the principals cared about what the teachers thought and were going to say in that climate audit. So I will be bringing back the climate audit, which will give all teachers a voice, and it's going to come directly to me. It's not going to go to their district. And I will tell you, we're going to have a state reporting of how many teachers are injured on the job. You would be shocked to know.
Oh, one dude got beat up at Perry Meridian almost to death the other day. I
Right.
mean, it's like, come on.
And
Really?
you know what? As a state, we're pressing charges because that's assault. You can't do that.
I think we need to bring back stockades and use it as a history
We're going to be
assignment.
bringing
You know,
back something, I will tell you, because these
put
are
them in. Let them throw their extra food in the
schools are
cafeteria. That'd be
what they're
fun.
meant to be.
I think there's a principle here too that we all use with parenting, right? We want to facilitate an environment for our children to succeed. And that's something that we want to do for our teachers as well. And the reason why, Brad, we're different than the supermajority at the State House is because they're conducting themselves in a way that a lot of people in government have done for decades. And now our nation is just really experiencing the harvest of that in a negative way. And that is that they are not on the ground. They're putting in these regulations. They're not seeing the actual impact of those regulations. And then the people on the ground are the ones that have to put up with everything, the ripple effect. We are boots on the ground people. The reason why we are going to do more in 4 years than anyone else can is because we are there just to promote our name. We're there to work for the people of the state of Indiana, to facilitate an environment for teachers to succeed and to see their students succeed. What teacher does not want to end the year with a successful classroom? So we're bringing to the table experience. And what I love about the conversation that we're having is it's the same conversation that we are going to give them as well. We're going to put them in the room with Paige and teachers that are experienced so that they can iron, sharpening iron. It means to lift up the countenance of a friend. We want to see our teachers be the very best, not just in Indiana. We want to see them be the very best in the nation. We are wanting our state to be the training capital of the United States of America. And it's a goal that I think fits the people of the state of Indiana.
I think people would embrace it. Well, for somebody who's retired, Paige, we have Paige Miller and Jamie Reitenour. Jamie Reitenour is running for governor of Indiana, and Paige is her education specialist. And for somebody who's retired, you seem pretty fired up about this. I mean, you know, I like somebody who's got some enthusiasm in a subject that I don't even know if it even came up in the debate at all. So, so Tiffany, you've been waiting patiently with your Harry Carey glasses, and now it's your turn.
Yeah, Ed, it's so nice to see Jamie and Paige. Thanks for being on the show. Good to see everybody. So, just a quick question, a little bit of a story. Third grade was a pivotal year for me because my eyes changed. My eyes got really, really bad. We had just moved from Germany to Fort Hood, Texas. And in the move, I don't think anybody picked up that I was barely reading. I could not see. And I remember when we got to Texas, my they did tests and I was in the lowest reading group. But one day the teacher said, "Hey, can you read what's on the board?" And I couldn't read it because I couldn't see it. And my third grade teachers, they came together super fast. They told my parents I needed my eyes tested. I got glasses. They helped me with some remediation. And I went from the lowest reading group to getting tested for gifted classes. And I was on the talented and gifted track after that. So I know third grade is so very important. And I am forever indebted to Mrs. Sargent and Mrs. Edwards for completely changing my life. And I'm so happy that they didn't just like coddle me and tell me it was going to be okay. They just jumped into action and completely changed my life. So that's where I come from when it comes to like teachers really making a difference. And I believe that they can and that they should have tough conversations when they need to, and parents need to help. As it pertains to the state of Indiana, my question is, the funding, I believe that 50% of the money of the budget, Indiana state budget, goes to education. Are our schools overfunded or underfunded, and how are you going to tweak that to make it better?
Well, I think that when you look at the results that we're getting from our schools, that looks like an overfunding to me. I think that what I'm looking for is results. I honestly, when I talk to people on the ground, obviously one of the things that they talk about all the time is their property taxes. The Taj Mahals that are our schools / colleges / what is that we're building in the front of the school during COVID? Why during COVID did every school get a front facelift? I have no idea why that happened.
Esther money.
But I do think that besides all of the maybe abuse of the money that we're seeing, there's a very real conversation to have about results. The people of the state of Indiana care about the next generation. They are well aware that it's important to raise a generation that's educated. And I don't think that it's un-American. I think it's very American to say we want to see results, and we're just not seeing those results. And so where's the money going? Why are we seeing so many teachers that are saying they're underpaid? Why are we seeing so many students that can't pass these iLearn tests? That has to be examined. And again, the difference between myself and every other candidate, which is shocking because I've been out here now for about a year. And so I've had the forums and the debates with all these candidates. And just now, actually, the current administration is now changing and saying they're going to have new diploma requirements, and they're including apprenticeships now. I wonder where they got that idea. And so they are a people that really, I'm shocked, are so unconcerned and so flippant about the next generation. I think it is offensive, to be super honest with you. The people of the state of Indiana are a beautiful people. They're hardworking. They can have these conversations. I mean, you could have this conversation with a farmer. Every single person in the state of Indiana is very aware of what's taking place in our schools because they are seeing this impact them through property taxes. So this is a very lively conversation in our state. And for this to be a lively conversation, no other candidate really have any solution. It's just exactly more of the same. It's exactly what's happening at the State House. There needs to be accountability. I don't think that we're looking to cut funds as much as we're looking to see results from the funding. That's what we want. We want results.
Exactly. Well, speaking about shaking it up a little bit, here you go. We don't need 300 a year, 300K a year superintendents.
Right.
How about this one? Because the school system is admin top heavy. I know at one time IPS had 63 administration people making over $100,000 a year. I mean, come on, what's up with that? And then here's another one. How about the testing? What do you? I know I'm asking you a bunch of questions all at once here, so real fast. Let's do that first.
Paige and Jamie, I loved your idea about like no tech. What is it, K through 3 or K through 5?
K through 5, no technology.
Yeah, I think that's a really good thing to talk about because that's the fundamentals of learning.
Right.
If the parent wants their kid to have.
If you can't do it with books and flashcards and chalk, you're never going to be able to do it.
Right. And the thing
is, chalk in so many everyday activities, Tiffany.
Pardon me? Oh, I'm so sorry. Dry erase. Is that better?
Well, I think Brad, we said that there isn't technology in the classroom for children. We didn't say that the teacher could not use technology. So we're not saying.
But I think parents might want technology in the classroom, and if you guys are
I don't know if you're right. Honestly, we've got K through 5 that needs to they need to sharpen their handwriting.
What if parents want their kid to have an
Parents
iPad? Can they
supplement
opt
their
in?
goal. What if you want your kid to have violin lessons? Then you do
No, but can they opt in?
No.
That would make
out of
no
that
use
class?
environment.
Nope.
My daughter is in Montessori schools through 8th grade, and she can count beads, and she could do things at 3 and 4 year old that other kids couldn't do. There's something about the fundamentals of education that do not change if you're Black, white, Italian, Spanish, American. And until we work hard to instill those things into all children, then children aren't going to be successful. You shouldn't need your tablet to read.
What if parents teach that way?
I just want to say, as a mom of 5, someone that's traveled in many circles with moms, I've yet to find the mom that says, I wish my child had more tablet time.
Yeah, that's probably.
I mean, but what if it was about tablet education and like actually understanding?
You know what, Brad?
Which grade?
Brad, you work at the library.
Package it all you want, but we're still coming out with no. We've actually thought it's not like we're saying we're anti-technology. This is a decision that we have talked through, that we've looked at the testing, that we're looking at our children that are losing skills. And we're saying we need to go back to a time where the results were better. And so these are the things that we're relating to that. We're saying we're taking technology out so that we can try to sharpen their skills in that K through 5 time period. And honestly, I would love to see the parent that is knocking on the door of the 3rd grade teacher and saying, you know what, I am so frustrated with you that you're just not allowing them to use an iPad. I mean, really, it's about.
You would be shocked.
I would be shocked. Who are those people? You can write me. You can get on our page. We'll listen to you. I mean, we'll listen to the argument. But
because at that point, you are criticizing their way of parenting, which is
no,
exactly what you guys are.
Classroom. I didn't say that they couldn't do it at their home. Don't mistake what I said. Don't misconstrue.
No, but
that makes news, right? If we misconstrue it, it'll totally be the only thing in the news. So let me be very clear.
And I'm not trying.
What people do at home is awesome. My kids have tablets and they use tablets. I have a 4-year-old that works on the tablet. He plays with it all the time. So I'm not saying that technology is not a fun thing to play with. What we're saying is we're sharpening the skills of our kids. We're giving them an opportunity to get away from the tablet and something that has not been in existence for decades, and we've done just fine without it. And we're bringing technology back in. Let's not forget that part of the conversation. Right. We're honing in on skills. We're getting everybody to the point where they have a strong foundation where they can operate on their own without the technology. And then we are doing something that other people are not doing. We are bringing technology in an orderly fashion. We're saying to the private sector, now is your time. You can adopt a highway, adopt a classroom. Bring in professions from all different places to talk about how innovation, technology, AI is impacting their profession. And if you're a farmer, which by the way, the AI or the technology that they use, not necessarily AI, but the technology that they use is incredible that farmers are using right now. It's actually overwhelming from one standpoint. But when you look at what they're doing, I guarantee you, many of us, just as lay people that aren't farmers, don't know how much they're dependent on technology. I know that for sure. I was just in a conversation about it. And so we are wanting them to bring those conversations to the forefront, to our 6th grade classrooms, because our students are so adaptive to technology. They are ready to have these more mature conversations about technology. And so we're using that. We're saying, you know what, you're at home, you've been around these tablets, you've been playing all these video games, have a conversation with some professionals that are having to tell you that they either had to increase their budget for technology or they didn't because they had other options that they chose. We want to wake them up to this conversation because in 10 years, the workforce is going to change and we want users to be ready for that. So a big clarification that we're just talking about K through 5, and then we're looking to introduce technology in an orderly fashion in 6th grade.
Yeah, it looks like, Brad, the only tablets you're going to have 1 through 5 are going to be the 10 Commandments. That's the only tablets they're going to let you have.
But John, so I had a couple questions because, like, Jamie, you said overfunding, and John just told a story about how there's 100 subs that are needed in like one school district.
Yeah,
but actually, that's two school
how does
districts.
That make sense?
Well, here lies kind of the problem that you've got really with the state, and you're going to find this in government right now, just I think across the nation. We are very trusting people, and there are a lot of people that have exploited the system. And because of that, there are a lot of areas that are going to be great in one county and horrible in another county. That's one of the reasons why on May 8th, after we win the Republican primary, we're doing a county tour, because we're going to take these conversations to the local level where they need to be had. Essentially, what we're doing is we're bringing accountability to every area of government. And so when I hear what you're saying about this specific school and how they have all these substitutes, I mean, that would be a school that that Paige and her team would be on the ground at that school. I'm not going to assess the school from this chair when I haven't talked to the principal or heard anything about what's going on at their school. But what I can tell you is if that came across our desk, there would be a team that would be sent to that school to find out what was going on. I will agree.
There's a statewide sub shortage, though, too. And same thing with paraprofessionals.
A solution to that is to actually involve retired teachers.
Yeah.
And so as I've traveled around the state of Indiana, it has been amazing and quite an encouragement to see how many teachers that are retired are saying that they're willing to come back into the classroom. And so we are making strides in that area. We do understand that the changes that we're making, we're going to have to fill these roles, especially because we are saying that teachers need to be licensed K through 5. And so we're going to need to make sure that there's people that can fill those gaps. And we are looking at that. We also have a plan to help teachers with their license, and you can tell them about that. Just wanting to make sure that teachers know that we want to come alongside them and we want to reward them for the hard work they're doing in the classroom.
One of my ideas is, and I'll throw it out there because usually once we say it, then the other candidates pick up on it. And this would be a really good thing for them to pick up on. Yeah, this would be really good pickup.
We still have time.
But, one thing is teachers no longer are offered life licenses. And so we're required to go back and get either PGP points, professional growth development points, or take a class. And that's all out of pocket. And those classes can cost anywhere from $3,000 to $4,000. Teachers can only write off $250. So we will be going to the legislature about that, when businessmen can write off thousands upon thousands of dollars and teachers can write off all of their $250 they spend on pencils. We're going to change that for them. But after 20 years, if they have all of their evaluations are right now a 3 or a 4, which is above, then we're going to offer them a life license. Because if you put in 20 years, you have invested the time, you know what you're doing, and we're going to ask you to give it back. We're going to ask you to be a mentor teacher. And we're going to say, if you have a license, then you're going to be up to be a mentor teacher. And we're going to pay you to be a mentor. It's not just something we're going to ask you to do and not pay you. That's the thing. Oh, well, teachers that, they get into it for the heart of it, not the money. Well,
they leave because of the money. I mean, how many teachers leave the profession to sell real estate, to be influencers, to do a million other things?
Work at Target.
Exactly. And so, when I think about like my experiences, and I graduated high school in 91, I am old. It seems like, teaching was a very noble profession, and women and men got into it because of a love of learning and a love of being around children and changing lives. But nowadays you can make so much more money doing something else. You can have more free time doing something else. So our teachers, I mean, like for young people to stay in the profession of teaching, they really have to love it, because the incentive, the reward is so internal.
Yeah. Right. Well, you get summers off. I mean, what more could you want, right?
Yeah. So you can
get summers off.
Time to make enough money to make sure you don't go back.
Oh, I know. Hey, yeah. And when you're a substitute, I think it was like $70 a day, and I think Kelly made, not you, Kelly, but Paige Kelly. It was the business, they made more money than we did. And, honestly do it for the love of it at that point on things. But there was one more question I had here. This is about the standardized test. We talk about iLearn and all this. So, I mean, is that something that it sounds like if you do your job during the year, you don't need to do these tests at the end of the year? What's up with that? What do you think?
Well, I'll let another secret out of the bag. First thing I would do is get rid of iLearn. Get rid of iLearn.
It's awful.
We would go back to a nationally normed test. Like we used to take California Achievement Test, Iowa Test of Basic Skills. We want a nationally normed test. We want to see how our kids are doing. And when all these states brought in their state testing, we no longer can rank states. And I think that's the only thing I would like the Federal Department of Education to do, because pretty much they're useless. And they never should have been put into place to begin with, because education is a state matter. And no, we're not getting rid of public education. It's guaranteed under Article 8 of our state constitution. So if some of you hear somebody say, well, Paige Miller wants to get rid of public education, absolutely not. But what I will tell you is we can get rid of iLearn. We can go back to a nationally normed test. And that's what we need to do. iLearn, I did it. I gave it. I gave iRead. I gave it all. And those tests, they're completely useless. As a teacher, we don't use them to guide instruction. Then what are they for?
Yep. So here's a question. What is the iLearn proficiency cutoff?
30%. And I'm going to tell you something. I know we're getting short on time. Do you know in Marion County alone, we have 45,000 kids that are not proficient at 30%.
We got that. Well, hold on. IPS, there's only one school above 10%.
Right.
And there's some that are at zero.
Kids. John, these are children in grades 3 through 8. We can fill Bankers Life Fieldhouse twice with just kids.
Yep.
In the state, across our state, it is 130,000 kids. 130,000. This is an educational crisis, and Jamie and I are the only ones talking about it.
Well, I mean, it's just people don't. I mean, we're still reeling from finding out what our kids were learning from COVID. It's just like one thing at a time here. I can't take it.
So I have a question.
Go ahead.
Jamie, so is this a COVID thing, or do we just understand it now because of COVID? Or has the system just been failing kids year after year? And now that it's gotten to the suburbs and people have decided to take action, now we're all enraged.
Right. I think that the silver lining of COVID, if there is one, right, is that parents were all of a sudden very aware of how much government overreach was actually something that is not just possible, but something that more than plenty of conservatives and Democrats are willing to participate in. And it also showed parents what was taking place in the classroom. So I do believe it was the silver lining. It didn't just arrive overnight. So in other words, it wasn't like it was great the day before COVID and horrible the next. But it really was just the ability for parents to actually see into the classroom. And I think that, that's how families should see this. We want to be really clear that the message that we bring to the table is a message of Indiana goodness. What we're talking about is possible in our state because we're a generational state that believes in hard work. It's cross the aisle. Okay. So it's not just Republicans, but it's Republicans and Democrats and libertarians. In the state of Indiana, people like to work. And so we are saying to everyone, it's time to get involved. Look, you cannot shrink government. I mean, let's have a real conversation. You cannot shrink government at this point in time with as big as government is without people having to make real sacrifice. And so that's why we've gone and talked to our retired community and said, we understand that you've been working for retirement, but we need you to come back into the classroom. And I love that these teachers are raising their hands and saying, you can sign me up. That says so much for our culture in the state of Indiana. There was a question about discipline.
Oh, yeah. You're just right on time. I was going to bring up the discipline part.
I just want to speak to that. There are studies. My degree's in psychology, my minor's in communication. And I can tell you that there are studies that talk about just how valuable discipline is in a child's life, right? They talk about boundaries and how you've got the students that are, the kids that are playing at the playground and they don't have the fence. And so they're all really concentrated at the center of the playground. But then if you give them a fence, which is a boundary, they come out and they explore more. And so having discipline and boundaries in the classroom is wise. In my home, we have 2 rules. You must be kind and respectful. And I can pretty much fit every single thing that my child does that's wrong in kind and respectful. We keep it pretty simple. My 4-year-old is also learning self-control, so that's a new one. But I can say that what we want to do is we want to help teachers, again, facilitate an environment for success. Yeah. And so the way that you bring a culture of discipline is you're on the ground. And this is something that we want to see everyone doing. We don't want to see superintendents that are sitting behind desks all day long. No, get out of your desk, get away from your desk, get out of your office, go to these schools. We want to see principals that are walking the hallways, sit down in the lunch hour. You've got to have a presence. We want to see police officers that are willing to stop by just to say hello. It is time for community to get involved. And when we bring community in, mature adults that are ready to show what it means to respect one another, kids will see that. They will get that vision and they themselves will do the same.
Yeah, that's good. I heard you say Indiana goodness. I think you should name your campaign after the candy, good and plenty. and put your name on there. Good and plenty. See, you could be good and
just
page
like,
could be plenty. I don't,
I'm gonna have it in my hand. You're
shake and bake, shake and bake, shake and bake, baby. That's right. That's right.
Great.
Well, you know, our viewers tonight have been really on their game here. That just shows me that education is important. And I know some of these viewers are pretty old. I know some of them over there. They're pretty old. They probably don't even have kids in the school anymore. But it seems like this is an everybody thing. I liked how you said community and all that. So we are getting close to the time to go. And Jamie, we appreciate you coming on again. I mean, you know, it's tough getting media coverage, and you know, but we have an astute audience, and a lot more people watch this show than you think. So
I love the conversation. I love the conversation. I love the work that you guys are all doing. I love that you all come from different perspectives. I love that you guys are presenting to people of all backgrounds. This is what it means to be in community, to sharpen one another, to have educated conversation about things that matter to all of us. And so I appreciate the work you're doing. We'd love to be on. We'll be on anytime that you guys want us on. We love the conversation. There's much more to talk about. We do appreciate your time tonight. It's been really a fun time. Paige and I hang out. We've gone all over the state of Indiana. We've visited many counties. We actually took the time to stop in the counties, to go to their libraries. We could have easily just done it by Zoom or just sent out a bunch of, paperwork, but we didn't do that. We actually went to the counties, we're in the libraries so that people would know that we cared about their families in their counties. And so that's what we're bringing to the table. It's Indiana goodness. And we think everybody should be a part of it.
Yep. And good and plenty. All right. It's amazing. 80% of why I vote for somebody is if you can get a hold of them. So, if you can't get a hold of your person, they ain't much good to you. And I got a couple of them here, although they do listen. I did get $1.3 million for our floodplain here in Mars Hill after 2 years of complaining to Andre Carson. So I'm going to give him his credit where it's due. Now, hopefully the city won't waste the money trying to fix it. So anyway, thanks for coming on. And we're going to still do the conspiracy theory. So I'm going to have to do this real tricky like here.
Brad, Brad's like raised his hand right there. Did you have something else?
Oh, Brad.
I had a lot of questions. I just didn't know. Paige, you're currently the chair of the Moms for Liberty in Hamilton County.
Yes.
Are you going to remain in that position if Jamie is elected?
When Jamie's elected?
Yes. Yes.
We'll just cross that bridge when we come to it.
Okay.
How many members are there in the Moms for Liberty?
Jamie, are you a Mom for Liberty?
That's confidential, John.
It's
not confidential.
So are you a Mom for Liberty also?
So I support Moms for Liberty. I was never in the Mom for Liberty club before I started running. So I don't say, I'm in the organization because I just like to, tout the name. I actually support Moms for Liberty. I think they're an amazing group of moms that have paved the way for many of us as moms. And so I'm proud to be a supporter of them. And I often wear their hat because I want people to understand that these are moms that are at home, that are in the workplace. These are moms that have taken time out of their day to study what's going on in their schools and go and represent in these school board meetings truth. And so I'm 100% supportive of them. And I'm just so proud that there's such a great sampling of Moms for Liberty in the state of Indiana. It really says a lot about our state.
Yeah. Well, full disclosure, I tried to get in Moms for Liberty, but I only had half of I only had half of what was required. I had the Liberty part. I just wasn't a mom. So I couldn't,
Moms, dads, grandparents, John.
Liberty. I'd be dads for the bad kids. Dads for the bad kids.
The bad kids.
Dads, bad dad jokes for the bad kids and all that. So I did. Hey, Brad, how'd you like my little joke tonight about
that? Was good. Like that was up there. That was
so Jamie. Here's Jamie and Paige. Here's my joke. They have a day for about everything these days, and I just want them to have a day for broken down cars because that's one I can really get behind and push. So there you go. That's my.
There you go.
That's
Carolina. Thank you so much for being with us. Best of luck. I know the primary is coming up in less than 32 days.
Oh, they're not keeping track.
Okay. Well, of course not. Of course not. But I do think it's important to remind Hoosiers that they can still register to vote and they can still request an absentee ballot. And we need as many people as possible to vote in our Indiana primaries. Less than 10% of people vote in primaries. And that's where the big decisions are made. So if you do not participate in primaries,
you can register up to April 8th. early voting starts on the 9th.
Yep.
And you can get in there and get her done. So
Yeah, you register online.
real quick, Jamie, tell everybody where your website is where they can go find out some more. I mean, we learned a lot about education.
Or our website. So Facebook would be Jamie, Jamie, and then Reitenour is actually spelled Reitenour. So Jamie Reitenour for Indiana governor. And then you can also go to our website, which is Jamie, Jamie, the number 4, Jamie4ingov.com. I always say it wrong because I say gov when I'm not supposed to yet because we're not on the other side. But it's Jamie4ingov.com. You can choose your social media there. We actually do also help people get registered from our website to vote. So feel free to use that. We tell people, get involved. Our ground game is awesome. It's exciting. We tell people to tell 12 people about what's going on and tell them if they like what they're hearing to tell 12 more. That's how you reach the state of Indiana very quickly on the ground. And you'll see more of that coming up. So thank you guys for your time tonight. You definitely represent goodness. So we appreciate it.
All right, that's great. Oh, anybody that's paying attention to my squirrel relocation event I have going at my house here, I'm up to 11 squirrels. So, and they've been relocated all over central Indiana. So it's a catch and release, sort of like the Bigfoot, Tiffany. So there you go. That's just some house cleaning there. So thanks, Paige and Jamie. I'm putting the thing up here, so you can go now. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys. Have a good evening.
Hey y'all, it's time for the conspiracy theory, so you better get your tinfoil hat out and let's see what's going on this week.
Okay, that was great fun. That was great fun tonight talking about that. I tell you, you don't see any other governors come out with, hold on, my antenna's not right. Nothing's coming out.
The whole hat's not right, John, the whole hat.
Yeah, I know. It's a little, it's been stepped on a couple of times. You don't see a governor come out with, and I always wondered, why don't they roll out their whole committee and we can see who they got? I mean, they might have some.
I wanted to ask her if she's going to keep Micah as a lieutenant governor.
Let's get her back on. Let me see.
No, Tiffany, don't just.
He just loves to stir that pot.
Yeah, it's like
we all do. This is what I love about all of you guys is like just stirring that pot is just so much fun, right?
I just try not to be too silly, which it's just natural to me. I mean, I wish you could have seen me at that.
Because I think Micah might have enough support to lock up a lieutenant governor nomination. So
it's going to depend on how many. There's not one state. There's not one state delegate contest in all 92 counties that's not challenged. I think this is the first time in a long time. They've always had a couple that could be appointed. I mean, I had 10 in my district here last time. We didn't even have enough to fill it. This time we have like 38 people for 5 spots. So don't count on me winning.
It's going to be very interesting.
They've already played commercials with my tinfoil hat on. It's like, you're done.
It'll be really interesting to see what Mike is able to pull off. I do not discount his ability to pull out a miracle.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I love gambling with democracy in our statehood. Right?
Hey, that's called a primary. 9% of people vote. That's a gamble right there.
Yeah,
I love the fact that we're not a democracy.
Yeah,
oh my God, yeah, we're a republic.
Yeah, there's a difference.
For which we stand, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm not going to listen to you, bad mouth the United States of America.
Yeah, I actually, just so you guys know, I never recite the Pledge of Allegiance because I don't pledge allegiance to any flag. And even when I went to church services, I didn't pledge allegiance to Jesus's flag either because I thought that was just really dumb. But pledging allegiance, to like the communist guy that actually wrote that, no thanks.
I did always wonder about that Pledge of Allegiance. I think we could have said, well, I respect the flag.
You know what it's
How
about?
about we rewrite it? Let's do a mouthwash version of the pledge. We're not even going to call it the pledge. We're going to call it a suggestion of liberty or something like that. How about that?
That's like too communist for even me. But let me ask you a question, and this is like a really serious question.
Hold on, let me put my smart glasses
on.
Okay,
Yeah,
go
put
ahead.
your glasses on. You might need your glasses for this one. What is it that all cults do? All cults get you to repeat the belief over and over and over again. It gets drilled into your head.
Again.
Yeah. So what is the Pledge of Allegiance but
I agree. I
inculcation
mean,
into a cult.
I don't want people to look at me like he's
I think the
anti-American.
Cult of America is an okay cult to be in.
No,
Because
it's not.
if you don't want that, you can certainly choose another one. I think that
I choose no cult. I choose the cult of Lucy's personality.
Thing. I mean,
The cult of, yeah.
we ask American citizens to do so much. We ask them to pay taxes and live by rules.
No, we don't ask them to pay taxes. We tell them if they don't pay
We
taxes,
demand
men
them
with
to.
guns.
We like for
Men
them
with
to be
guns
part
will
of the
show up.
workforce. I mean, being part of the workforce makes you eligible for paying taxes. And certainly some people
No, being part of the workforce does not make you eligible for paying taxes.
Working above the table does. I mean, certainly there are people
What table?
What
table is this you're talking about?
It's called being a W-2 wage earner. Certainly people make money under the table.
So wait a second. You're hurting my brain cells. You're literally advocating for slavery right now. You're literally advocating that people take on the name of a form from the IRS as their identity. Oh my gosh, that's just craziness.
It almost seems like you guys were holding this in from our guest, all this animosity here. What's up with that?
I was holding American currency, you are a slave. Yes. Yes, call me Kunta. Call me Tiffany Kinte. Here I am.
No, I'm just trying to figure out why you're trying to justify theft, because otherwise I know you to be a person full of integrity.
Somebody's going to steal it from us, Lucy. We might as well pledge allegiance to them while they're stealing it.
I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's certain. I mean, we can certainly
pledge allegiance to
the people stealing my stuff. Taxation is theft. I'm telling you, Lucy, I'm going to make up a pledge for. I'm going to make up a pledge for
next week. We are all getting robbed, but that's how it is.
Yeah, I'm going to make up a pledge for our show, just for our show, a pledge to nothingness, to just freedom. How's that?
Okay, Wolverines. Go, there you go.
Wolverine. We'll call it the Wolverine pledge. What? Can't call it pledge. Suggestion.
What was that movie? Red Dawn. There you go. There you go.
Dawn.
That's the dumbest freaking
Patrick
movie I've
Swayze.
ever seen in my whole life.
Who was in that? Patrick Swayze?
Patrick
Sheen. Like, they're riding up in the hills with rifles.
Well, you guys better watch Apocalypse Now because the eclipse is coming. So let's get to this conspiracy.
Yeah, let's get to it.
I'll tell you, hey, I just want to say a shout out to our viewers tonight. They had some great questions, a bunch of topics in there. Dorn said, ban Lucy from the show. I did want to put it on with our guests and make them think.
The race card again, Dorn, really? The race card?
Yeah, I know. He's
I think that just because I say something does not mean it's a race card. It just means that the message is coming out of a brown wrapper. However, let me give my conspiracy theory. So this is sad for me to say, and I hope it is never, ever, ever true. But I think that there are people around the world who are watching the destruction of the Baltimore Bridge to understand what it takes to bring a bridge down and cripple America. I'm just going to leave that there.
A conspiracy? A group of people deciding to do it, make it happen?
Man, Tiffany's actually got a conspiracy theory.
And it saddens me to say that. You think about when the World Trade Center was bombed the first time. I mean, there are people who learn things from tragedies and horrible things. Yeah. But
Tiffany, if you go down that dark rabbit hole of your own soul, you'll be able to, think up of that. Yeah, that's like everything like I-70. If you take that out, oh man, that would mess us up for so long.
Yeah, buy my house.
I-70, there's plenty of country roads. What are you talking about?
No, I mean like
take it
multiple
out.
Stop, like just it would cripple infrastructure. Like
heck, man, we had a toilet paper shortage about killed us off. Come on,
bringing down
exactly. We wouldn't know what to do.
So the thing is that in Baltimore, to get into the city, your choice is what: take the land route, take the bridge, or take the tunnel. When I worked in Baltimore, I take the bridge every day. Oh my gosh, the idea of being in the tunnel.
Yeah, that's how it was down in Destin.
Isn't that weird that was the safe, like in your head, like that was the safe. Yeah, right. And
take your pick, but I mean, like,
that's nuts.
For what happened and the ramifications that it has for the city and American infrastructure, I just think it's huge. So I don't know. Hopefully, I'm wrong. That's my goal. I want to be wrong.
Hey, but this is a conspiracy theory, and it is for entertainment purposes only, not to be so depressing. But there is definitely some stuff that's going on. That was an awfully big ship to run into that bridge, and it went down really bad. So just like, so we'll let Robert Malicki have a shot at it here. Russia took the bridge out. There you go. It's perfect time for that. Okay, Brad, what do you got for me?
Well, with Paige being on, I wanted to stick with education. And so I wanted to actually audit. A lot of the talk has been about like woke textbooks and woke curriculum and stuff, and I really want to go back and kind of audit my education. And so my conspiracy is that like the IDOE is going to allow some sort of portal where you can access every single one of your textbooks that you had from elementary, middle, high school, so that you can kind of see where you came up with the thoughts you came up with, maybe. And to prove people wrong, where you're like, no, they didn't tell me this or they didn't tell me that, because apparently textbooks, and curriculum are the end all be all. It has nothing to do with parents actually making their kids read, sitting them down and making them actually go to Zoom classes during COVID. There wasn't a huge absence of kids during that time. I remember not watching my kids Zoom and seeing like all the little boxes go away. When are we going to get our foot back on the gas pedal to get back to where we need to be? It's like we're blaming everybody but us.
Can I talk about my 5th grade textbook in history? There were 2 paragraphs on slavery, and it talked about plantations. And I said to my 5th grade teacher, Mrs. Bowden, I love her, she's still alive. And I said, wow, a plantation sounds like a really great place. I wish I lived on a plantation. And she told me to go home and tell my parents that.
Well, you're just born in the wrong century.
Well, it sounded like this wonderful community where everybody was working together.
Yeah.
And everything was just wonderful and great. But there were 2 paragraphs on slavery, and it was just did not fully elucidate the matter for me.
Hey, they told us that everything came from blue-green algae. I'm going to go back and choke that biology teacher.
I would like to thank Tiffany for saying plantation, because it reminded me that everybody watching, listening should go watch The Jones Plantation by the voluntarist Larkin Rose. It's actually a really good movie. I think the acting was awesome. It's like an actual Hollywood production, and it's called The Jones Plantation. And you might see some things in there about how taxation is theft. Just saying.
Just might say that. Jennifer Graff says, oh my gosh, Tiffany, what did your parents say?
We had a conversation about slavery, but fast forward years later, a couple years later, I was watching Good Times, and I was like, Mom, we need to move to the ghetto because everybody is so happy there and they're having such a good time.
It's dynamite.
And again, my mother says, you know not what you speak of.
Well, poor old Tiffany was just so naive when she
was
younger.
Such a nerd. I was a naive. I was a nerd. I just did not understand how the world worked.
And of course, life beat that out of you, so you're good to go.
With Barbies, I was a kid. I played with Barbies, I think, until 9th grade. I was truly a child for a very long time.
There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with when I was chasing those kids on Saturday night, it's like, yeah, this is fun. I remember being a kid. It's fun. Talking to the adults is not that good.
We got to get to the conspiracy theory here, because I'm starting to like.
You're starting to fade. Oh, Brad had his right.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, all right. Lucy for Liberty. What do you got here? Maybe we'll call the pledge Lucy for Liberty of allegiance.
Just pledge allegiance to the cult of Lucy's personality and send cash. Actually, send gold, send Bitcoin, because cash isn't worth anything. So now I have to have 2 conspiracies, but one's super short in response to you, Brad, because what you were touching on was absolutely brilliant. And that's the fact that history is written by the winners and the curriculum is created for the convenience of the cabal. If you like the alliteration.
Pearson Publishing.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about the real conspiracy, because it's on everybody's mind, and that is next Monday, April the 8th. We're in the path of totality, and what is that going to mean? A lot of people are giving Governor Holcomb some grief for calling a state of emergency ahead of the event, and I think that it's actually warranted, believe it or not. We're going to have maybe hundreds of thousands of maybe millions of extra people in our state who, like most people, don't plan ahead. They're probably going to be getting in their cars, not thinking about having a full tank of gas. They're the people that live here, and I'm speaking to all of you right now, like, you should go get your provisions in the grocery store right now. Like, that extra water that you might need, or some filters, or some canned food. Maybe
Oh,
fill up your
you didn't
propane
mean
tank,
right now.
because it's almost like a swarm of locusts coming in. People, and this is great for the economy, right? All these people are going to come in and they're going to buy everything up. And good, that's good, Slick. Yeah, you definitely should do that. So it's not so much a conspiracy theory, and I got a lot of problems with Governor Holcomb, but this is not one of them. Um, by declaring the state of emergency in advance, obviously he's able to call upon other resources that you only get when you do a state of emergency. So from the other perspective, what is the solar eclipse going to provide? Maybe some interesting energy, maybe a cover for a false flag or two. So if you really value your iPhones and your iPads, you might want to go on YouTube and see how you can take a metal trash can from Tractor Supply and turn it into a Faraday cage.
My hat work.
No, your hat won't work because it's not continual, even if there's any kind of a break
Oh yeah,
in the
it's got
seam.
holes in
So,
it.
yeah, for example, so you get your metal trash can, right, from Tractor Supply, and you put a bright flashlight in it. And when you put the lid on, if you see any leakage of light, then that means that you got to go in with like some metal tape. So anyway, I'm just thinking practically here because I know how addicted y'all are to your phones. But it is a real thing that our resources and supplies for our state are going to be bought by people from out of state. Um, and if you can stay home, obviously stay home. I know there are a lot of people doing festivals and stuff, but you won't
Yeah,
catch me
really.
there.
Yeah. That's well, I think we're all, Lucy. You're how much are you in it? And you're more
Oh yeah,
east.
well, I'm where the path of totality comes up kind of at an angle from our state.
Mhm.
We're projected to get over 3 minutes of totality where I live,
Okay, yeah,
which is
we're
really,
close to
really cool.
4. We're close to
Yeah,
4 here,
just
and
keep
I
in
think you
mind
guys are too.
that and this is another reason not to go in big crowds and stuff, is because you have some things going on politically, and this is where the conspiracy woo stuff comes in. um, Predictive programming, right? Everybody knows what predictive programming is. They tell you what they're going to do before they do it. So what about the movie Don't Look Up? We were told don't look up. Obama produced a movie, Leave the World Behind, where like a container ship like wrecks into a port or something. Like all this stuff is happening and they're telling you. So it's up to you to protect your family. And
Don't Look
that's
Up was hilarious, by the way.
oh,
I
I didn't
didn't
actually watch it.
I
You
didn't
should
watch either
totally.
one
I
of them. I
should.
think I
Lucy,
watched
you
part
would
of it.
friggin' love that movie.
Okay, I'll
It,
go watch it.
Now we got to
humans are
watch it,
so
Brad.
dumb.
Thanks.
Sorry,
It's okay.
humans are just
I
we're the
didn't I
worst.
didn't watch what was the other one, Lucy? The
Leave the World Behind. That was the one that Obama produced. And Spiro, I want to speak to that because you're in Nineveh. My dad's actually from Nineveh. There is some conspiracy theorist that pointed out that there are multiple states in the path of totality that have cities that are the name Nineveh. And of
that
course,
would be Spiro. Spiro brought that up to us.
yep.
Yeah,
And
so you
there will
can
be and go read your Bibles and find out why that's significant
and it's
and what
going over
Nineveh is
Mars Hill
doing.
too, because there's Mars Hill was in the Bible.
Yep.
So we're gonna get
Yeah, I
like
was just
4.
arguing online with somebody today about Paul, and they're like, Paul was ordained, and I'm like, Paul's like
He was a
walking
tent maker.
along.
Paul was a tent maker with a thorn
No,
in
he
his
was a
side.
tax collector.
No, that was
He
Matthew.
was a tax collector.
I
Matthew's
thought,
a
I
text.
thought, I thought.
Paul built the
But
tents.
wasn't the sun like invented before the Bible? So like it really didn't.
Well, it's sort of the same
Should we
time.
even get into the fact that the
No,
Sumerians are over 100,000 years ago, and sorry, Christians, of which I consider myself to be one, it's not a 6,000-year-old Earth. Like God is outside of time and space. Anybody that listens, to any recounting of an NDE, a near-death experience, the first thing that you discover after you die is that there is no such thing as time. So
is that
anyway, that's
true?
probably it. Really is
I've only
true.
died a couple times, but I don't remember it. Was near
Time and
death.
cellulite no longer matter.
Yeah.
So one thing I would suggest is when you're out there in the eclipse, take off your shoes, do the grounding, release all the electrons, do the electron exchange. But I'm just waiting for something to happen. There's going to be some sort of government false flag, bioweapon, something. So my conspiracy theory is that something's going to happen. I don't know what it is.
Never waste it. Well, that's a good segue to mine, Lucy. Now mine's a little different conspiracy. They got that path coming out. It's coming right over Indianapolis. So the eclipse is going to come and it's going to make everything, it's going to turn everything opposite. And you know how I know that? Because I got the magic 8 ball here. I'm going to shake it up and I'm going to tell you that when the eclipse is he going to make everything opposite or stay the same? So I'm going to ask it. Magic 8 Ball, is everything going to stay the same? Or is it going to change to opposite? It is decidedly so. So with that being said, when it comes over here, all of our streets, potholes will be magically filled in. Magically filled in. Democrats will be Republicans. So Brad, stay out of the eclipse if you don't want to be a Republican. And Lucy, if you don't want to be I don't know what libertarians are going to, maybe independent. Tiffany, you're going to be a Democrat. I'll be a Democrat, sort of. And, men will be women, women will be men. Oh, wait, we already have that. So we'll have, just everything's going to be opposite. It'll just be the opposite. So, Dorn says you'll be a socialist.
Or a statist. I'll finally start telling people what to do.
Yeah, you'll say the Pledge of Allegiance with pride every day before you get up. It's going to be that kind of effect on people.
Let's will be back in style. That will be fun.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what?
Normalize that again.
I'd like to. I'm going to respond to what Yvonne said, that I'm a conservative and not a libertarian. Libertarians come in a broad spectrum. And
Yes,
so
they
I'm
do.
a mom of 10, married for 33 years. I've got 3 grandkids. I'm a gun-toting grandma. And so, yes, I am very conservative, but my politics are distinctly libertarian.
I
But what are you
Do
gonna
you
do?
guys have
I
any
gotta
openings?
put this up there. Even though the eclipse is not going to stop Robert's fondness for Tiffany, it's just not going to stop that. Hey, Robert, you better be careful. You're going to end up in her Bigfoot trap. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah, I know, right? It's the longest paw. Yeah.
So what Dorn says, this is Dorn's opinion. Lucy is a moderate classic liberal.
Yep, Thomas Jefferson and I would have gotten along very well.
Yeah, you would have been building a house out of limestone, probably. That's what he did, wasn't it?
Well, he should. Okay, so this is going to be another 60-second conspiracy theory thing here. Look up. There are sun cycles where we have more sun and less sun. So this whole climate change thing is really just playing on the fact that the elite know that there are cycles, right? I mean, 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, you would have had, somebody sacrificing people or saying, "Give me all of your money," or the sun's, the gods are going to black out the sun.
We could miss an opportunity for next Monday. Well, I remember the 70s. I remember the 70s, and
the term.
I've been a mason contractor for 30. I've been into that for my whole life, pretty much construction. And so I'm in the weather quite often.
Yeah.
And, we had the blizzard of 78. We had 3 inches of snow this year?
It's like such a non-event.
I made a lot of money this year in the masonry business. I loved it. I love a nice mild winter. It's great. If the seas would rise up a little bit, Indiana could have some oceanfront property. We'd be living large. We'd be the East Coast. We would be the East Coast.
That's the hope. All those corpses just floating by apparently because of.
Well, they'll head south. Something like, it's like.
Sorry, like that.
Brad always bringing us back to life. All right, people. This was a good show. We got Curtis Hill next week. We got a full palette for the rest of the.
Oh my gosh, what is Curtis Hill's? He's running for governor, right?
Yeah, he's running for governor. I think we're gonna have Doden on, and we may have up in your neck of the woods, Tiffany, Mark Hurt. Mark Hurt, I think is scheduled. He's running for the 5th district. Yeah, there's a bunch of them up there. What's that?
I was telling Robert good night. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Oh, you just get his number, or go let him out of the trap. I don't know which. All right, Brad, you hold down the library up there. Don't let the eclipse, change everything into.
I'm going to be doing face paintings, for little kids, and we're doing like chalk. Yeah, it's a whole day. So.
Well, if I don't see you guys, if I don't see you again next Tuesday, it's been nice knowing you and all that.
Good luck. Good luck, everybody.
Good luck. I mean,
the internet will be down, the EMP and the solar flares will be flamed. Everybody's going to look up and they're going to get hit by the bioweapons.
Yeah, there's going to be Chinese spy balloons all over the place.
Glasses aren't good enough and everybody's going to go blind.
Yeah, don't look at the
actually has been a concern.
Look at the picture behind me. That's all you need to see. The other thing is the conspiracy I have about this eclipse. It's really not an eclipse. It's just a Chinese spy balloon that's blocking the sun out for that time period. That's a good one. Yeah, I just made that up right there on the fly.
Dorn said he's going to go looting on Monday.
For 3 minutes.
Well, it's all you can hear. I'm sure
I'll be sure I lock myself in the bedroom alone. We have 10
You
kids.
can't
Like,
do it
he doesn't
during
need
the
to be doing any more
day.
looting.
Hello.
Yeah,
Looting
that's right.
101.
It's only going to be nighttime for 4 minutes. So
Yeah, that's
this will be. But I thought that we had one of these back in '94 or something. Didn't we have one in '94? Was that just a partial?
I was in college. Who knew?
Why don't we have one every day? I mean, it's just how come it takes so long for the sun and all this to line up?
This is
And
proof why we all need to go back to school, John.
Who figured it
not on
out?
a
I mean, how do
platter.
you do the math on this thing? These people it may be nothing to it.
Total eclipse of the heart. Turn around.
Yeah, is that the air supply?
Bright eyes. Yeah.
Bonnie
Oh my
Tyler.
God. No, it's Bonnie Tyler. Oh my
Oh
God.
man, she sings "It's a Heartache." Oh, that song.
That's Robert's song.
That just gets you in the feels. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you guys! It's way past our time here. It's way past our time. Hold on, let me get
past my bedtime.
Let me take the
See
banner
y'all.
down. Take the hat off. The banner down. I like how you guys don't even play along with the conspiracy anymore. I'm the only one looks like a
Hey,
dummy
last
on
one
here.
out has to turn off the lights. Just saying.
But, hey, what was that show that they? Yeah, Carol Burnett or somebody or yeah, that meant put my TV dinner in. I'll be home soon, honey.
That's what that meant. That she used to do that.
What'd that mean? What's this one mean?
I think she was telling her family that she loved him. She used to
Yes. Carol Burnett, she's awesome. Maybe I can get her on the show. Is she still alive?
Yes.
Okay, good.
So.
It's going to be easier to get her on the show if she's alive. So anyway.
Well,
What's that?
well, no, I'm going to take that.
We could do like an AI cameo kind of thing.
Put a medium on the show. That would be fun.
We should get a medium on the show. We could really make the evangelicals mad.
Yeah, that would.
Oh, we don't want to do that, Lucy.
No.
Well, I like to fool everybody.
Hey, Brad, how are your book clubs?
Oh, that was hilarious. No, like when I heard that like the teen book clubs were canceled for Fishers, and like we don't have teen book clubs because teens hate reading.
Unless it's a text.
Like, you know, for a lot of it, I was laughing because I'm like, oh yeah, like that makes perfect sense. Actually, like teens don't like to usually come to book clubs. That's you know, it's strange. Like I mean, it is difficult to get them in.
You know how
all you have to do is tell the boys there will be girls there and girls there will be boys there and they will show up. You're just marketing it.
Just wait till after
you're just
the
lying
eclipse.
to everybody.
I think the point
I'm
of
not a
book
liar.
club was purchasing an inordinately large number of books and then tossing them around town, knowing that no one's coming to book club.
All right, I'm going to end this with a bad dad joke.
Oh yeah, we could. Yeah,
I'm going to end this. Okay, do you know how does a book hit a golf ball? With book clubs. All right, I'm sorry. That's it. Bye.
Bye.
Good night. That was a bad joke.
I know it. I just made it up right then.
Wow,
Best I can do.
the fact that you can make
tell.
it look like that is even worse.
Yeah, that's right. That's
His
right.
brain has been damaged to have that kind of an output.
Yeah. Oh, thank that. Bye. I got to go for sure now.
Yeah.